Okay, this is the database models. So you can see we'll be creating these all the tables. So for the hospital management system, first we'll be keeping authentication system for the users to do the sign up as well as login, log out. So to do the sign up, we need to have a table. So for I will be adding these attributes: user ID, username, email, password. So for the login, we'll be implementing on the hash algorithm over there, and we'll be matching with their credentials. Okay. The next will be adding the database tables as doctors, table name, and these all the attributes. And this will be the primary key, doctor ID, and doctor name, department, and his email. So I'll be extracting this email from the sign up authentication. Okay. So same way we'll be having patient booking over here. So this will be the patient booking here. So patient booking will be taking these all the attributes for the from the users, and will be storing their details in there and these attributes. In the same way, for the patient details, we'll be adding these all the attributes: phone number, address, age, patient ID will be primary, and foreign, gender. These all the thing will be adding it. Okay. So this will be the main thing which we'll be implementing into our Flask project. So now let's come on to the project folder. So I'll just open the. I will just create a new folder now. In any of your drive, you can just create a new folder. So I'll just create a new folder into my drive. I'll just create a folder name as dbms on 2020. Okay, something like that, whichever your wish, you can just implement open like that. So this particular folder, I can just right click and I can open with my Visual Studio Code. I'll just click on to the right click and open with the Visual Studio Code. So this folder is opening inside my Visual Studio Code. So this is all the stuff. Okay. Now Python, we have installed it. So even we have editor. The main things comes, we need to implement. We are using a framework as a Flask. We need to download. We need to install the Flask module. So just open your PowerShell or anywhere PowerShell. I'll just open the PowerShell as administrator. Run as administrator. So we need to install the module. And one more thing, when you want to install any modules, when you want to download anything, that at that time only the internet requirement is needed. Okay, or else you can directly run your projects without internet too. So here I'll just tell pip. So I'll just zoom a little bit. So I'll just tell pip install install Flask. So this is a Flask framework when installing. Just we need to tell pip install Flask. So once I run this particular command, the Flask model with the Flask library, everything, it will be installed into our laptop. You can see it is showing me requirement already satisfied because I have already downloaded. So for in your case, it won't be like that. It will be collecting all the packages and it will be installing into your this one particular library. If I just enter now Flask, FLASS Flask, if I just tell Flask -, version. So if I run this particular command, you can see I'm getting Flask 1.1.2 is the latest version now, and Python, it is taking automatically from the system 3.8.2. Here we will make it one error, like the pip is not recognized as an internal and an external command. You may get that particular error if you have not installed Python properly. If you get that particular error, just directly message me. I will tell you how to debug that one. Okay, I'll just share you one video. Just see that one. You can debug that particular error. Then you can learn this particular command, pip install Flask. So rarely you won't be getting that particular error, that internal or external command not found, some type of error you may get. Okay, when you get like that, just tell me. I'll just share you one video into the group. Then I'll just close the terminal now. Now see, if I just press Control and asterisk, so below the escape key, the asterisk, that what we call that single, that it will be like single quoted will be, no, that one. So just press Control and press that one key. So you can see I can open the terminal like that. Okay, so we got backticks. I think the backticks we call it for that particular button. So Control plus that backticks. So you can see the terminal has been open here. Okay, if you can't open like that, you can directly click onto the terminal, new terminal. You can open the terminal from here itself. Next, now I have installed all the stuff. Now first, what I will be install, I will just create one Python file, or directly I will create one project. Okay, I create a project or project folder, or you can just directly create an app. So directly I can create an app. So I'll just click on to here, new file. I'll just tell main, main.py file. So this will be my application, that is main.py file will be the main file of my project, where we run our Flask project inside this main.py file. And one more thing, so yesterday there was a doubt for person, so they cannot see this Python or this particular run command. So you can just click on to this one. So you can see here it is as a extensions. Okay, if I just click on to this extension, I am getting something from here like something and all. So I first install Python. Just click on to the Python, Python Python. So you can see if I just click on to the Python, I am getting this one as like first of my priority. I have installed it over here. Okay, if you install this one, it will give the suggestions to you. Okay, it will just automatically it will take, and when you are typing it, it give the suggestions, it give the reference, like all the stuff it will provide. You can see here what they are selling. We can just click on to here install. It have I have already installed, so it is showing me the uninstall button. In your case it will be install. Just click on to that install. Automatically the Python will install in this Visual Studio Code. Then all the extensions will load automatic. Okay, this one thing you need to download it. Okay, then even you can download Flask from here. Let me see if there is any Flask stuff, anything if we have. So Flask snippets we have. So you can see this is Flask snippets we have. Even I can download this one. Let me install like that. Just click on to the install. So it is just like an extensions. Okay, once I download this one, you can see it has the extensions has been enabled globally. It is telling me like that. So there are a number of stuff is there. We can just download from here in these extensions. Next, now let me write first. After installation of the Flask, let's write our the first Flask program, then we'll run into our system. So I'll just click on to again here. It has been closed now. If I just click here, it has been opened. Okay, we'll just click a little bit. Okay, fine. Now I will import the Flask. I'll just tell, let me go to the Flask documentation and explain you directly. So I will tell you how developers will work, how developers will be knowing how to learn any of the programs, any of the frameworks. So each and everything we have a documentation. If I just tell Flask documentation, I just tell Flask docs, DOCS docs. If I open like this, you can see I am having a welcome to the Flask documentation. If I just click on to here, so you can see the Flask documentations has been open here. So there will be having, we can see from here itself everything they have provided us. So how all the stuff will work, you can see all the stuff here. So let me see, we'll be having how to install the Flask and how to run the project. So let me see where I can see of any of the stuff, and here is the installation Python dependent install Flask, install virtual environment, and okay, let me start with a minimal application. If I just click on to here, you can see here they have said here from the Flask I can just write this code and I can run here. So here you can see all the stuff they have said us. So okay, I will just copy this one. I'll just copy this one. I'll just show you how it works. I'll just copy from here, come back to your main.py file and paste it. So here basically what here the code has been written here is, it's telling from Flask will import this, where we are importing the Flask. Okay, it is Flask is nothing like, if I just press Control and if I just click here, you can see the documentation of the Flask, whatever the code it has been written, it has opened here. You can see a number of codes they have written, like they have said how all the things is there. You can see, like if you want, if you have time, you can just read all the stuff from here. Okay, else no need of reading that one. So basically in the simple words, we are just importing a Flask and we are renaming as an instance like a Flask. Then we are initializing our Flask. So we are initializing the name. So we have given app is equal to, from this Flask we are initializing this one, we are initializing the application of this Flask. Then next we need to print a hello world now. So how to print a hello world? So that thing I need to tell. So the print a hello world, it is just telling me I have written an app.route here. So why I have written as a app.route? So it is used for the routing purpose, like in the sense it is a endpoints. So you will be knowing what is the endpoint. So endpoints is nothing but, so when I run this program, I'll be getting an IP address. Okay, so if I just see, if I have written here, I'll just run this particular program. Let me see what will be the output. If I run here, I won't be getting any error. So any error, nor I am not getting any of the output. Why I am not getting any of the output? Because I have not so this is some mistakes they will be doing into our documentation. They have showed here and they have not said how to run it, but they have said here, but they have said into a very complicated manner. So we have a shortcut method to run a function. So I can just tell like app dot, I want to run this particular function, that program. So I'll make debug is equal to true, because whenever I do any changes, it should fetch. So if I will just tell debug is equal to true, just run the app. Now if I just run this function, I'll be getting an output, I'll be getting an IP address. So before that, I think many of you don't know what is def here and what is this particular def. So for when we write a function, we'll be using a keyword as a def and the particular function name, and will return some values. So I'll just open one now. I'll just tell you what is functions. So I'll just tell a1.py file. Suppose if I want to add two numbers and I want to call the system like function call, how things will work. If I just tell a is equal to 12, if I something like a is equal to 23, b is equal to 23, then next I'll tell call the function. I'll just tell one sum, or I can just tell what I can just tell like my function name as sum sum1. I am just telling the function name is fun sum1. When I run this one, it will call the sum1 function. Here what I will give here is, I'll give a comma b here. I'll just give an attribute a comma b. Okay, that means even you can do like that, or directly I can just cut like this. I'll just tell def function. Now when I run this particular program, what it will run is, it will just run this sum1 function, but I don't have any sum1 any function written over here. I can just write the function name as a sum1. I can directly pass the value from here itself. I can just directly pass a comma b, or I'll pass a comma b here. Okay, I will give the value here, suppose 10 and 20. So when I write a function, this is a function. To write a function, we'll be using a keyword as a def, and for a function name, we'll be writing any of the function name. You can write it over here. Here, these are all the parameters which it will take. So when I run this one, it doesn't work with def until and unless it has been called. Now put a colon and just click enter. So you can see I have created automatic 4 indentation space. Okay, you can see if I just click enter, it means I am inside the sum1 function. You cannot start the program from here. You cannot start writing from here. Okay, it is automatic space it will create, that we name it, that we call as an indentation space. So from here itself the code will run, and from here itself this particular function will run. In the sense, it is inside the function block of sum1, like that. Now I'll tell here return a plus b. I can just tell return a plus b. Now if I run this particular program, if I just run here, so it is running this particular function. I'll just run a1 program here. Okay, so run, I think I should click here run. So here you can see I am getting which program file. It is just running a1.py file. Okay, it is returning a return. I'll just print it, print print a plus b. Okay, so I think I have written here, it is taking the I'll just comment it out, this particular file. I'll just come to the a1 button now. I'll just run now. So I can see I am getting an output of 30 here. So how the function is working here? So it is just run. If I just comment this particular sum1 function, then if I run, but my program will run, but you can see you cannot see any of the output here. You cannot see a output of 10 anything. You are not seeing it. Why? Until and unless this sum1 function is not called, this particular function doesn't work. Same way even this particular functions will run. Okay, so these are the functions how it's run. If I just run again, I will be using f string. I'll just tell f, I'll just tell the sum is, I'll just open this curly braces. So this is the concepts of a f string in the Python, so where we can pass the string, and along with the output we can just pass the string, any of the string, by using a f and 2 single quotes. When you want to extract any of the value, we need to use a flower braces, and we can just pass the value over here. If I just run here this program now, you can see I am getting an output. The sum is 30. Okay, it means the function is just, this function will run, sum1 function will run, and here it will just look onto this sum1 function. I have passed as a comma b. It is saying okay, a comma b has been passed. It will see the value from this particular function, and it will take this value and it will just print the sum of the function. So these are the functions will work. Okay, I'll just remove this one. Now let's come back to our flask main.py file. I'll delete this a1.py file now. So I'll just uncomment back. Now I have uncomment back now. So I'll just delete the stuff from here. All the terminal I can delete. Now I'll just open a new terminal, create newly. Then next, you see here I have imported the flask and imported the, I have initialized the application. I am calling the route. So this is route. You will be understanding what is this route and what is this return, what is it returning, and what is, so app dot run debug is equal to true is mandatory to add it over here, or else your application won't run. So if I run this main.py file now, I will just click on to this run button. So you can see once I run this one, you can see I am getting something has been happening to our terminal. It is telling me environment is a production and it has given me some warnings, and debug mode is on because I have made debug is equal to true, and restarting and debugger is active and it has given some pin. You can see it is telling me running at the HTTP 127.0.0.1 at port number 5000. It is telling me press control C to quit. When I want to if I want to open this particular IP address, just press control and click onto this link. So once I open this one, you can see I am getting an hello world inside my browser. Okay, what is 127.0.1 is our local host. Okay, and 5000 is our port number which it is taking from by default. Okay, you can see now our application is running perfectly. So for better understanding of the routes, I will write one more function. I'll write at app dot route. Now I'll give something like endpoints. I'll give something like at a test, test I am giving as an endpoint slash test. Now again I will put a colon, and if I enter, it is not okay. I should not give the colon here. So it is, I have defined the app dot route, that is my endpoint, as a slash test. Now I will write a function. Now I'll tell something like a small, I am just for the testing purpose I am writing a function of a test. Now I'll put a colon, and if I enter, you can see I am getting an automatic indentation space. Now I'll just return. I'll just tell this is for testing. This is for testing purpose. Okay, fine. Now if I just press Ctrl S, you can see the action automatic it has happened here. It is running at the port number again. Now come back here. If I refresh the page, you can see I'm getting same thing. Now I have not no changes here. I just zoom out here. Now I have given, when I given as a slash, automatic it is taking a slash page, that whatever has been returning into my hello world. Next, when I return slash test, let me see I am getting this output or not. Come back to here, inside your browser in the tab, just put a slash and just paste it whatever the endpoints you have given. Now if I enter, you can see now the URL has been changed to this IP address, localhost, port number, and slash test as an endpoint, and the output I am getting as for it is, this is for the testing purpose. So we won't return any of the string values like this. In the actual we will be returning all the HTML files over there. So we'll be seeing now how to return a HTML files. So same way, even if I just copy like this, one more route I will open here. I'll just tell this is my home page. Suppose this is my home page, I'll just name it to home. I'll just tell this is my home page. I'll just return this is my home. Just save it, then come back to the control, just press Ctrl S, automatically just save. Now if I refresh, now I'll go to the slash home. If I go, you can see I'm getting this is my home page. If I remove endpoint as a home, this will be my final page, that is a hello world. Okay, same way this IP address will be taking as airobotica.in. If I just open airobotica.in, so you can see I'm getting an output. Same way, even same output I can display over here. Now if I just press on to any of the, if I just press on to the contact us page, you can see I'm getting an endpoint as slash contact. Same way, if I want to go to the any other routing page, if I just give as a slash test, test, so you can say I'm getting a testing page. Same way, even this is working, even same way it is also working. But here it is working inside the domain, here it is working inside the local host at the port number 5000. So now let's create a server. So we have to store the details, or if you want to pass in SQL queries or anything, we need to have a database first. So for that database, so you have introduced with the friend, still you have not introduced with the front end. but you have introduced with the backend how things is working here. Okay, now first let me connect with the database, then so I think I need to tell first about the template routing. So I'll just tell you first about the template routing, then I will tell you about the database connection. So here I'll just make a folder, I'll just make it a new folder here. I'll name it as a templates, TEMPLATES, templates. Fine. Now I have downloaded a particular templates folder here. Now in the templates folder, I want all my HTML files to be added inside my templates folder. I'll just click on to the new file here. Now I'll just tell here, this is my index.html file. Okay, I am naming this particular template as a index.html file. Next, now I need to rate, now I will be rating all my front-end codes inside the HTML file itself. Okay, in the main.py file, all my backend code will be written inside my main.py file. All my front-end code will be written inside the templates folder in any of our HTML files. Now I'll just tell you one extensions to download here. I'll just click on to the HTML here. This is also one beautiful thing. I'll just click on to the HTML. So HTML snippets we have, just install this HTML snippets. It will give you the nice suggestions for us. Okay, so next I'll just close this one. Now here you can see it is telling me Django HTML, because most of the time I will be using Django HTML, so it is just telling here. So if you don't see this Django HTML, no problem. So I can just select it now. After downloading HTML snippets, I can select from here HTML. Now you can see it is taken as a HTML here. Now if I just press exclamatory, I'll just press exclamatory and enter. So once I press exclamatory, if I enter, you can see I'm getting a boiler template. This we call as a boiler template of a HTML. So what all the thing, I'll just explain you all those thing, what all these here. So document type is a HTML, doc type is nothing but document type is an HTML, and language it is taking as an English. And in the HTML we have two things. So one is will be the head and one will be the body. Take example of a woman itself, we have head and we have body, right? So inside the head, what we want, what all those things we can implement. So inside the head we have a meta tags, and this is for the screen sizing, and we can add SEO tools by using meta tags. The next comes under the title. So title is something, this is the title. So if I just click here, this will be my, so you can see the title name here, it is showing 127.0.1.5000/test. So I have not specified explicitly the title name, so it is just giving like this. If I want to something I want to display like an index over here, when I want to do like that, I can just tell here title as an index. I can just name anything, title as an index, save it. So you can add any of the CSS stylings over here, and you can just add any of the JavaScripts and all. You can just load from here inside your header tag. Next comes on to the body. What is body? Body is something, whatever the stuff you see in here. If I just open here, yeah, Robotica only. So if I just open here, you can see whatever the thing I am seeing here, that is comes from the body. Okay, that is coming from the body. So that things we will be adding inside this body itself. Okay, so I'll just tell something like, I will just tell one header tag. I'll just tell this is body, and h1 is tag. Same way I'll just tell we have 6 header tags. Okay, so h1, h2, h3 like that. I'll just name it as a h2, and I'll just name it as a h3. So I'll just display the 3 tags here. I'll just remove from here. So whenever you open any of the tag, we need to close it also. You can see we have opened a body, we have slash body. When we are opening h1, we need to have slash h1. So here is a slash h2, and this is a slash h3. Okay, now how to display this particular page inside when I run this particular program. So I'll just remove this one, I'll just let it be. So now when my home page comes, so I'll just whenever is a request for this particular localhost URL, whenever there is a request for the home page, I want to return this index.html page. I want to return the index.html page rather than a hello world. So how we can do here is, I'll just import one module, that is render, put a comma and just render template. So I'll just import this module name as a render template. Now I will use this inbuilt module to display my index.html file. Now what I'll do here is, I'll just remove this hello world. I'll just return the render template. So something has happened. So return the render template. open the braces, it will take arguments. You can see it is telling me you can directly define a template name or union text like this, or you can pass any of the context. Okay, that is it, that any of the dictionaries in the form. So I'll tell return the templates. I'll tell the file name. Automatically it will detect the index.html file. I will just tell return index.html file. Just if I save, now if I just save it, let me see, it has been restarted I guess. So let me come, and if I refresh here, so you can see I just zoom out to the 100%. You can see this is a body, h1 is a tag. You can see I'm whatever the stuff has been written inside my index.html page, everything I am getting over here. Okay, so this is how we can do like that. Okay, I'll just tell here. Okay, fine. So this is how we can just render the templates. So we'll make this index.html more beautiful by using a bootstrap. You will be introduced with the bootstrap. What is bootstrap and what is the bootstrap framework? There is no anything, everything we have a predefined libraries, predefined frameworks. Just copy and paste and just implement it. The main things comes is we need to understand the code how it is working. When I do the slash page, it is just returning this template, same as it is for the test also it is returning. So I'll just tell test here. Let me introduce I'll add one more, I'll just tell test test.html file. So what all the stuff is there, I'll just copy from the index.html page to test.html page. I'll just return this is my test page and test page, and h1 is a tag, something like that. You can whatever you want, you can just display like that. Okay, just save it. Now same way I will just tell here, same way as it is. I will just copy this one. I'll tell whatever the when you get a URL for the test, I need to return this test.html file. test.html file. Just save it. Okay, I'll just remove this home page now. So let me have two functions for now. So this is for the local host, this is for the endpoint, that is test. Just come back here. If I refresh here, you can see the same output I am getting. Now if I go to the slash test test, so you can see this is the body and test page, and h1 is a tag. You can see I am just loading this HTML page like this. Okay, if I just press Ctrl U, you can see the source code also. So you can see h1 tag, whatever I have written in the HTML file, it is just hard coded. Okay, so this is how we can render the tables, sorry, the HTML files. Now let's connect with our front end with our database. Okay, now we have familiar with the back end is this, and how we display the front end by this routing system. Even we know we are using a render template functions, and we are returning our HTML files like this. Next comes under how to connect the database. So let's connect with the database now. So I'll introduce with the database, then later on we can just complete one by one all the stuff whichever we have planned it. Next, okay, now to use a database I'll use a XAMPP server. So I think many are familiar with the XAMPP server or not, I don't know. So here we'll be using a MySQL listing the database, and we'll be using server as a XAMPP server. I'll just tell download XAMPP. If I tell download XAMPP, if I just click on the first link, so you can see XAMPP for Windows 7.8. You can just see here. So just download with your compatible thing. You can just download any of the, you can see, just download the latest one. Okay, if I just click on the 164-bit, the XAMPP server will be downloaded, and this is a Linux for the Linux, and this is for the Mac. So for everyone they have a community. Okay, they have written very nicely here. So this is a very nice server. Just download. I think many are using Windows itself. So just download this XAMPP from there, and just download it. After downloading, it may take more time to install and all. So it may take a minimum half an hour to install and stuff. So I have already installed it. So I'll show where this particular files will install. So when you are installing, make sure that automatically defaultly it will take your C drive itself. Okay, so no need to worry that. So don't change any of the drive, just normal installation, click next and install it. Okay, there is nothing like that. Don't set any of the password, don't set anything, just normally install and just click next and normal installation, just do it. Once you have installed this server, XAMPP server, I'll show you where this particular server will be, where this particular application will be installed. So just go to your PC. So I have this many drives. So basically I have installed inside your C drive. Even you would have installed in the C drive itself. So once you go to the C drive, you can see here I have a XAMPP, XAMPP XAMPP I have. So even you will be getting after installation, you can check even in your C drive it will be a folder by name as a XAMPP. Just click on to the XAMPP server, just click on to the directory. Then there are a number of stuff here. Okay, so when we are working with the PHP, the mandatory stuff is we need to create a project folder here itself and we need to run here itself. So I have created, later on you can see I have many projects done here and with the PHP. So when we are doing with the PHP, it is mandatory to create folder into htdocs. Okay, then only it will take, or else in our stuff we don't need we are working with the Flask. There is not any mandatory to open from there itself. So just I have shown you. Next you can come little bit down, you can see here we have XAMPP start, XAMPP control and XAMPP stop and XAMPP control and XAMPP start. Just click on to the XAMPP control. If I just click on to it, it is asking me the language. I'll just click on to the same. I don't know why I'm getting these types of error. Let me just click on to OK. Once I open that one, so the XAMPP will open in my system. So in your case it might be fresh now, so I think there will be nothing. It may ask your name maximum, but don't set any of the passwords when it is asking. So you can see once I open the XAMPP control, you can see I'm getting a panel, control panel. I'm getting a control panel of the XAMPP. I'll just minimize it. You can see that I'm getting a control panel for the XAMPP. Now I'll just click on to this Apache start. I want to start the Apache server. Just click on to the start button. So you can see it has been started at the port number 840,000 and I want to start the MySQL. So you can see it has been started perfectly. Next I'll just click on to this admin. So this is MySQL, see where I am opening. I just click on to this admin. If I click on to the admin, automatically it will give the localhost PHP myadmin. So you can see I am getting these types of GUI. So these are all the databases which I have created it. So in your case also you will be getting like this. Okay, just click onto the XAMPP and start the servers and click onto the admin panel. You will be getting this localhost / PHP myadmin page. Okay, I'll just bookmark this particular localhost thing. Now I need to create a database now. So I'll just create a database here. So how to create a database? Next point. So I'll just click on to here new. If I just click on to the new, so it is asking me the what database name you want to give it. So I'll just tell hospital here, hospital. Okay, my database name should be hospital or anything. I don't want to this one. I'll just tell hospital management system, HMS. I'll give the particular database name as HMS. Now once you give any of your database name of your choice, then next click on to the create. So you can see it is telling me database has been created. You can see the HMS has been created over here. Next we need to create a tables. So we need to create a tables. So I'll just create it. I need to give a table name. So I'll just give for just to show how the stuff will work, I'll just create a database table name as a TEST test. Now I want something like 2 column is enough for me. So TEST test, and I'll just click on to the go here. So once I go here, so you can see table has been now I need to give the what should be the attribute name and what is the type of the table. I'll tell first thing I want something like name or okay, I'll just give the name and I'll just give the email. Okay, this both type should be, I want something name should be var character and email is also a var character. Length I will give some 20 and even for the email I'll just give it 20 over here. Okay, we'll see auto increment mode we have set to primary key and everything. Later we can see that one. So just for the testing purpose I am just teaching you. So I created a database name as a test and I have given name and I have given a var character and email var character, length 20 I have given. I'll just click on to the save. Now I have saved it. Okay, you can see I have saved all the stuff over here now. So name I have given and even in the email I have created it here. And if I just browse it here, you can see name and email attribute is there, but there is nothing over here. I can insert from directly here itself. Okay, that is we'll insert from the front end, not from directly here. Okay, so just we have created a database HMS. Then I have created a table by name, table name as a test, and attributes is a name and a email. So once you have done this one, don't stop the servers like that. Let it be running. Okay, you should not stop the server when you are working with the project. Now come back to our main.py file. Let's connect with that particular stuff now. Now comes to the main point. So when now we will be using one more library, that is a SQL Alchemy. What is SQL Alchemy? Which enables us to connect with our front end and with our back end, that is a XAMPP server. The database, it will be helping us to connect with the database, that is MySQL. So the module name is called as a Flask SQL Alchemy. I need to install the Flask SQL Alchemy. Even I can install from here itself. I can install Flask SQL Alchemy from here. Okay, better you can install from administrator itself. I'll just tell again, I'll open Windows PowerShell. Okay, I'll just tell command prompt, or as I just even you can open as a administrator or normal. Just open as an administrator. I'll just click onto the CMD and I'll just run as administrator. Okay, now command prompt has been opened. Now I need to install one more module. So I'll tell, let me say, I have forgot what is the name. I'll just tell Flask SQL Alchemy install. If I just click here, so you can see here, okay, this is the latest version, is a pip install Flask SQL Alchemy. I need to use this particular command. I'll just copy this to the clipboard, come back to here, if I just press right click, it will paste automatic, click enter. So once I enter here, it is telling me requirement already satisfied, because I have downloaded already. But in your case, it would have not installed. You need to install it. Pip install Flask SQL Alchemy. This is the main important module which enables us to connect with our front end with the back end, okay, for the SQL. So I'll just once you have installed this particular module, pip install Flask SQL Alchemy, I'll just close it, come back to our project. Now the way I have imported the Flask, in the same way I will import the SQL Alchemy. So I'll just minimize this one, come back to here. The way I have installed the Flask, I have imported the Flask, same way I need to import the SQL Alchemy. I'll just tell from Flask SQL Alchemy, I need to import, I want to import this particular model SQL Alchemy. Okay, I have imported the from Flask SQL Alchemy. I'm importing this SQL Alchemy. Okay, once you have imported this SQL Alchemy, next we need to connect with the server, right? So I'll just come back to here, and okay, this is a Flask name. I'll just tell, so here I'll just tell, first I want to define my local server. So I'll just tell local, I need to set my local server to true, enter. Then I need to initialize my app. So we have initialized already this one. This is the app we have initialized already. So we have initialized the app. Next, I'll just create a space over here. So I'll put a comment here. My database connection, my DB connection. So later on you can just if you see the code, you can understand. Okay, my DB connection here. So I'll just tell capsim and my DB connection. So local server is equal to 2. I'll just give app is equal to Flask. I have initialized my app. Then I can give any secret key to my application. I'll just tell app dot secret key. I can just give the secret key. I'll give my name itself. Just something my name here. So anything you can give for the secret key is optional. Then next I need to configure my SQL settings now. That is the main point now. I need to configure my SQL settings. I want to I need to load this HMS database here to main.py file. So how to do that one? So this is a database connection. Now just write like, now I'll just tell app.config. So this is only one time connection, okay, one time structure, one time connection we need to do. Later on we don't need to command here and we should do, okay, just it is for the first time, right? So we need to connect for the first time. Next, when we are running this, we need to click onto the run button and see the output. That's all. So I'll just tell app.config. I'll just open this one. I'll just tell SQL Alchemy, ALCHEMY, and underscore database underscore UR I. URL. Okay, I am just telling configure SQL, I think URL itself. So app.config SQL Alchemy with the database URL. So how the stuff will take, I'll just tell you. So how the structure will take. First, it will be like this: MySQL. So we are using MySQL itself. So I'll just tell MySQL and put the colon. First thing, it will take a username. So username, I'll just tell username, and second, and put a colon. So sorry, yeah, put a colon, and then it will take a password, then at the rate symbol. Then what will be the, our host is a local host itself, and at the last endpoint it will take a database name, database table, table and name. So actual configuration will be like this. I'll just close it. The actual configuration is like this. Okay, so we need to pass the perfect values. This is a username, and this will be the password and localhost, and whatever your database table name is there, you need to pass over here. I'll just put it a comment. I'll just press Ctrl D. So for your understanding, I'll just leave as it is as a comment line. You can just see later on what is here, what is this, and what is this. So when you have installed this XAMPP server without any giving any password, normal installation if you have done, so basic username will be root itself. Okay, for everyone it will be root, and we have not set any password, so I'll just keep it as a blank empty, and localhost is fine. And last one, even localhost will be same for everyone. Till here for everyone it will be same if they have not set any password. Then come last things. What is last thing? Last things comes like, what is the database name, right? So database name, what I have given as a HMS. So yeah, HMS I have given as a database name. So you can see that is a HMS is our database name. We have initialized. Now perfectly we have initialized this database. We have initialized the database URL to this particular URL. Now SQL Alchemy database URL. So once I have done this one, that is a SQL Alchemy, you can just see the spellings, everything should be perfect. Okay, should not be any over like that. So next I need to, and now I'll just tell db dot. Now I'll tell my whatever the database I will be using DB. So I'll just tell DB should be SQL Alchemy. Now I will pass this app configuration to this database. I'll just pass the app configuration to app. Okay, so I'm going a little bit slow. So this is a configuration. This is how we need to do it. Okay, so only one time setup, not daily. We need to do sit and do daily over here. So we have done app configuration to this particular URLs. So this is a particular what we call file structure. Then we have set our SQL Alchemy to our database. So next, once we have done that one, let me check whether database is actually connected or not. So I'll come here. I'll just come here. So let me run this hello world function itself. Okay, let me run this. I want to see the output here. I want to just see the output whether the database is connected or not. I'll just remove for some time. I'll just remove this HTML file. So for some time I'll just remove this HTML file. I will just check here. So I'll tell. So I'll tell whatever the. I'll just let me check whether it is working or not. I'll insert on any of the attribute here. I'll just insert anything. So here I can just tell my name here and my email, one random email. Just save it. Go. So you can see it has been inserted into test name. We can see we have done in your DBMS lab. So same queries it is taking as it is. Okay. Now if I just click onto the browse, we can see I have a one attribute name and my email I have now. So that is where it is in the test table, right? So it is in the test table. So I need to initialize first. I need to initialize the test table. I'll just tell. I'll just come here. I'll just tell we have a class. I need to define. I'll just put a comment. So here we will create DB models, that is tables. Okay, database tables. So how we will be creating this database table? We'll be using a class name. So I'll just give it first letter, give it as a capital letter test. So why I'm giving test? Because I have used on here as a test. My database table name I have given as a test here. So I'm using the same name. So but capital letter, give the first letter as a capital. So here I'll just tell this should be a db.model. So this is our database model. So where we are using. Then what are the stuff we have here? First we have a name. then I have a email here. So email and name. So this is a column. I'll just tell this is my column, db dot colum. So you can see I have connected my application with the database now. So next what I did here is we have what I just done here is I'll just come back to the PHP MyAdmin. I just click on to the insert here. Then I have added some values here. I'll just tell my something like test and test.email.com. I'll just click on to the go. So you can see it has insert into test, name, email, all the stuff has been it has been inserted. Now if I just click on to the browse, you can see I have inserted two values from here just for the database connected or not. For that purpose I'm checking it here. Okay, later we don't come here and we don't insert from here, we insert from the front end. Then next, so let me see whether this is loading, this data is loading or not. So what I did here is so this was the stuff. I'll just pass the function, should not get any errors. So what I did here is I need to get all the data from database, from this database server, from this server database to our application. To get that one, we need to initialize this database table name. So database table name is my test. So that database name is a test. Here I have given class and T I have given as a capital. Why I have given test? Because in my PHP MyAdmin I have given the database name as a TEST itself. So same name should be there, but the first letter should be capital. Then db.model, this is our database model. So what are the attributes we have created inside my database table? So one is name and one more is a email. So I have just named my db name and email I have initialized. Now I'll give the value. What is the stuff we have? Now we have something like this is a string, right? So I have given as a string db.string. I just tell it is a 100 characters, something like that, and I can just tell this is a okay fine. I can just give like this for explanation. Same way for the email also. This is also my email. I'll just copy and paste. So even this db.column email is also my string. Now I have initialized the database table test from the database. Now when I run this particular function, when I run this hello world, when I run this localhost server, I want something. I want to try something. I will try when this particular functions, when this particular test, when this test dot I think in the this query only, right? Yeah, query dot all. So query dot all in the sense whatever the data is there, just get it like that. When this particular runs, I want to return my data base is connected. Okay, I'm just trying this one. Okay, else if this I don't want to give the error, I'll just try and accept condition. So in the Python we have try and accept condition. When try blocks works, this doesn't work. When this doesn't work, it will work like this. So what is the difference between try and accept and in the if conditions? In the if we may get error and all the stuff. In the try and accept we won't get any errors. Okay, so I'll just tell accept. When this condition when it has not there, I'll just tell return data, my database is not connected, my DB is not connected. Okay, let me try whether this is works or not. So I'll just test.query.all. When this function runs, then only it will return. When this function runs, when our database is when our XAMPP server is working, when the database table is there, when that whatever the credentials I have passed over here, when this all the things are perfect, then only this test.query.all will work. Then only it will return this my database is connected. When this doesn't work, it will return database is not connected. That means something problem is there with this database, something like the name or any of the stuff, then only it doesn't work like that. Okay, let's come back to here and if I refresh, I think the server has been stopped. So you can see server has been stopped. So let me see what are the errors here I have got here. I'll just run one more time. So if I just run here, it is telling me what it is telling. Mapper class test could not assemble any primary key column for mapped able test. Okay, one more thing, we need to have one primary key. That is mandatory to have a primary key in each and every table. Okay, that we need to be noticed. Okay, I think just I'll give one ID over here simply. So I'll just give a ID is equal to db.colum and column. I'll just tell db dot integer field, comma, I'll just tell primary key. I'll just set it to the primary key. So in this something I don't know why they are given. So each and every table should have a primary key. We need to assign one primary key, that is compulsory. I'll just tell primary key is equal to true. Just save it now. Now if I run, I think I won't get any error. Peaceful. So you can see I have not getting any error now. That means I have initialized the ID. That is the primary key. Now my server is started now again. So whenever the server just started, just click on to the run button. You will be getting the link over here. Come back to the page, and if I refresh, so you can see it is telling me my DB is not connected. That means, what is that mean? That means this particular query is not run. So something is mistake. I think this is not a URI. I think I need to give URI here. I'll just save it once again. So I'll just stop it here, and if I just click on to the run button, so it has been working, it has been started. If I recommend, if I refresh, so even though it is not telling, it is telling me DB is not connected. So let me see why it is not connected and all. So I'll remove this try and except condition. I'll just put a comment out here. I'll just tell A is equal to, I want to get all the query. Let's tell test dot query dot all. I need to get all the stuff. QURY query dot all. Then I'll just print print the value of A. Let me see whether if something is there, it will just store into the A, and it will just run the A. So now I need to return this particular function, right? So I'll just return this home.html file. Return table. I'll just return the index.html file. Okay. So see here. So each and every function will return something. Okay. It is mandatory to return. So why I have given here A is equal to print A. When this particular function runs, even this particular code will run. Whenever I run this particular condition. So test db.model, everything is perfect. Let me see whether I'll just cancel, remove this. I'll just stop the server, and again I'll just run it. So once I run the server, so you can see I have just this one. Come back, and if I refresh it, so it is telling me some operation error. It's telling me unknown column test ID in the field list. You can see it has find out the error. I have initialized the ID here. I have said there is a ID inside my test table, but I have not. While creating a database table, wantedly I have not given this in the test table. When I have created, I have just given it 2 attributes here, but I have not given a ID here. It is telling what is the error in this sense. What is the error here? It is giving me. It is telling me there is an unknown column test.id in the field list when I am querying it. So it is telling me just please fix that particular error. Now I want to add one more attribute inside this particular field. So how I can add here is, I'll just click on to the structure. I will tell add one more attribute here. I want at the beginning of the table. I'll just click on to the go. It is asking what should be there. I'll just tell I want a ID, and it should be a integer, and it should be a auto increment field that automatically should increment. I'll just tell auto increment field, that is a primary key. I'll just save it. If I just click on the save, it is just processing the request. Now this particular error will be getting out from here. Okay. So I don't know why so long it is taking. So integer field and auto increment primary key. Okay. Okay, I'll just stop the server, and if I just restart, let something maybe happen here. Now I'll just restart the server. Okay, it has been restarted. So it is, you can see it has created or not. So if I just click onto the test field here, if I just click onto, okay, you can see it has been created. ID has been created, ID 1 and 2. It have why 1 2 has came. I have set as a auto increment field, so it has taken as a 1 and 2. Come back to the again. Come back and refresh it. Now our thing is working perfectly. You can see it is returning it. Why it is returning? When this particular condition run, then only it will return. Even I have printed this A. You can see here. when I have printed the A, it is whatever, I think, where is the output? You can see I am getting in the form of a list, test.1, test.2. I am getting two attributes, I am getting it here. So I can just print like this. I can just tell I want to print A dot name, then I want to print A dot email, email, email. So when I want to print like this, come back here again. If I refresh this one, normal what it is taking a route this one, it is running this three function and it is returning again back this HTML plate. That is only the backend is happening over here. Come back again. I will just come back, and if I refresh it, so it is telling me a list has no attribute name. Okay, so I think I need to run a for loop, then only I need to run like that. Fine, now it is working fine, right? So you can say I'm getting an output here. Refresh, now it is working perfectly. You can see in the terminal I have printed it, so I have not printed it. So okay, fine, I'll just print it here once again. Print A, just save it. Once I have printed, now come back again. If I refresh this function, the function has been run. You can see here in the output I am getting test test1 id and test2 id. It is returning the primary key, whatever the primary key in the form of an object. So then it is perfectly working it. Now let me run this particular function, whether that's this particular working or not. Let me see, try and accept condition. Now I'll just comment out this particular part of function here. So when this particular condition runs, it will return this one, or else it will return not connected. Just save it again. The server control is restarted. Come back to here, and if I refresh here, so you can see my database is connected. So thank God we have connected our database and the second day itself. Now you can see everything is working. Suppose now I'll change the database name here. There is a LMS, right? I'll just name something like blah blah blah. I'll just type something which is not there itself. Now I have restarted it. Come back here, and if I refresh, so I can see I'm getting my database is not connected. Why here it is happening? It is staying in the local host. It is just going into the phpMyAdmin in your XAMPP server. It is just going here. It is checking whether exactly that particular database is present or not. When it is not present, obviously this particular query, it won't run. This test.query.all, it doesn't work when it's not present. When it is present, then only it will work, right? So in that way, we need to just for explaining database is connected or not. For that purpose, I have created a random database name and random database table, so that I can just tell you it is actually connected or not. Then next, come back to here. I'll just name it to perfectly here. I'll just tell it was the database name was HMS, Hospital Management System. Now save it. It has been restarted. Come back here again. Come back to this one, and if I refresh it, you can see it is telling me database is connected. Okay. Now everything is working perfectly. Okay. Next class we'll be seeing the Jinja techniques, and actual project will be starting. So now you are familiar with how to connect with the database in our XAMPP server, and how to connect the database, and how to display a table, and how to display the HTML files. Everything you have understood little bit. You have gotten little bit idea now. Like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon for such more videos. Stay safe, happy learning, and I will see you in my next video.